Hello fiber artists, and today we will be learning the Tunisian crochet field stitch. And much like any fiber arts, we will start with our slip knot, where you take your yarn, flip it over onto itself, where you create a little X. With the yarn, you hold on to the middle of that X, and the loop that's on the side, you will take your index and thumb finger behind that loop, pinch onto the working yarn that is attached to your big ball of yarn and pull it through, and that is your slip knot. And just as usual, I will be using my 10mm Tunisian crochet hook just so that the stitches are larger and easier to see for you guys here on camera. So for this stitch, there is a number outlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to make chains, and you need to make multiples of 2 plus 1. So technically, if you want to just think of it easily, just an odd number, because that's adding 1 to any multiple of 2, because any multiple of 2 is an even number, and you want an odd number. So usually I will make 10 stitches for demonstration purposes, but because we have to add that 1 extra stitch, I'm going to do 11 stitches. Now you can make it as long or as short as you want it, just as long as it follows that same rule, then you are fine. So because I am doing 11 stitches, I'm going to make 11 chains. And to make a chain, you will take your yarn, the working yarn, which is connected to your big ball of yarn, not this little tail here, and with the crook of your hook, you will pull it through the loop of that slip knot, and that counts as your first chain. I will show that again. You will grab the working yarn with the crook of your hook, pull it through, and that right there will be your second chain. And we're going to continue this until we have 11 chains. So now I have 11 chains. Now what I'm going to do, I know it looks a little wonky, but that's only because I'm using such a large hook in the first place. We are going to turn this around like so. And you should be able to see those back bumps that it creates. Sometimes it'll look a little funky like this, but if you can follow where it's going, you can see that right there is that little back bump right here. Right there. Right where my thumb is, because it goes right there. Now we're going to be working into those back bumps. It just makes it a little pretty. The only thing is that it is difficult for a hook to get through these back bumps. So what I like to do is I use the tip of my hook to slide into the back bumps instead of inserting it this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip this first bump here, the one that's directly on that loop. We're going to skip that one and move on to our next back bump there. And using the tip of our hook, we slide the hook into that bump, push it through, bring our working yarn over our hook, and then pull with the crook of our hook through that loop. And I'm going to show that again. You can see right here, this bump right here. We are going to insert with the tip of our hook, slide it on through, push, yarn over, and then pull through with the crook of your hook through that loop. And we're going to continue that all the way down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count these, how many loops are on our hook, because right here is the most important part to check. So I had wanted to go for 11 stitches, so I should have 11 loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, which is perfect for me. Whatever number you are going for, just make sure at this beginning stage that it is going to be, the amount of stitches that you want. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to take our working yarn and with the crook of our hook, pull it through the first loop, like so. And then we're going to grab the working yarn again and pull through 2 loops. And we're going to pull through 2 loops all the way until we have only 1 loop left on our hook. So what we're going to do for this is we do have to start, because this is our foundation row right here. This is how most Tunisian crochet will start. This stitch in particular does need 1 row of only simple stitches. So what we are going to do is for this, our first loop on our hook, this counts as our first stitch. So we will skip this first loop that is right on the edge. We're going to skip that one and go to our next loop here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to insert our hook in the bar that is closest to us, right there. Just insert it right there. Take your working yarn and yarn it over your hook. And with the crook of your hook, pull it through that loop. I'm going to show that again in the next loop right here. This stitch, the bar that's closest to us, you'll insert your hook right in there, yarn over, and with the crook of your hook, pull it through that loop. We're going to continue that all the way until the end stitch. So we are on our end stitch here. Now you're going to see the regular loop here that is the same as like the other loops, but you're also going to see another little bar coming up to the outermost side of this stitch. Right in between all of that, you're going to insert your hook. There will be 2 of those little yarn bars on the outermost side of your work. You're going to yarn over and pull through that right there. And this is how it's going to look. Pretty simple so far. It's going to get a little more intense a little later. So what we're going to do now is our back pass, which you will, with the crook of your hook, pull your working yarn through that first loop. And then you're going to pull through 2 loops at a time, all the way down until you have 2 loops, because what we're going to do is we're going to color change. I now have 2 loops on my hook. Now this part is completely optional. If you do not want to work with a second color, you do not have to do this. I, however, am going to do this second color because it does make these stitches easier to see. So I'm going to do my second color right here. You just bring that yarn and you'll take that yarn here into the crook of your hook and pull it through those last 2 loops. And that is how you color change for Tunisian crochet. This is where things start to get interesting. What we're going to do is now we are going to do a Tunisian crochet, or rather a Tunisian double crochet, a long Tunisian double crochet. I know that's a lot of words. So what we're going to do is we are going to yarn over like so. Then find our loop, obviously our first loop here, we're skipping because this counts as our first stitch. We are not going to insert into this little bar here that's closest to us. We are going to insert underneath that one. So the bar from our first stitch. We're going to go right down there, or our first row rather, right down there. Take our working yarn, pull it with the crook of our hook through that, and then pull through those 2 loops right there. The next stitch is just going to be a regular simple stitch. So you will take this, you see the next loop over, in the bar closest to us, you will just insert, yarn over, and pull through. Now I'm going to show that long Tunisian double crochet again, where you yarn over. Now this next loop will usually be the bar we work into, but we're going underneath that right here into this bar. Right there. In the bar closest to us, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through those 2 loops. I find that with this, you always have to like make sure this tension is good. You're going to repeat this alternating all the way down until the end stitch. So now we are at our end stitch. You can see right here where the loop comes in, over here at the end, right here, and those right here. I don't know if that's clear right there. This is our end stitch with that extra little bar going off to the side. You're gonna insert right in there, yarn over, and pull through. And this should be how it looks so far. Now we are going to do our back pass, where you will take your yarn with the crook of your hook, pull it through 1 loop, and then pull through 2 loops all the way down until you have 2 loops if you are color changing and 1 loop if you're not. I almost went all the way through. So now what we're going to do is we are going to change the color to our first color. Because we did not cut the color off, we're going to now take the working yarn of our first color that we were working right here, because it's still hanging off of our project, and pull that through the last 2 loops. Let me tighten that one up. Through the last 2 loops. And that is how this row should look. Now, this row, it's both confusing and not confusing because it is easy to get once you're there, but it is one of those things of if you have 2 colors, it's easier to see than if you have 1 color. If you have just 1 color, just take note of the stitches versus the color. So, as per usual, this first loop is considered our first stitch. So this first loop does not, we skip this right here. Now, because in our previous row, and you can see right here how it just is longer and a lot lower down than this stitch, for this one, we're going to do a simple stitch. So the opposite of how we started our last row. We're not going to do a double, we're going to do a simple. So this loop right here, it's going to come over all the way from the top. Right here, it's going to loop all the way around there. On the bar that's closest to us, you will insert your hook right in there, yarn over, and pull it through right there. Now we're going to keep up the long Tunisian double crochets. So this next one is going to be our double crochet or long double crochet. So we will yarn over. This one, obviously you could tell, was a simple stitch. We're going to go underneath the yellow into our first color again. So for the long Tunisian double crochet for this one, it's going to go into the first color. And for people who don't have a secondary color, if you look at this bar, this loop in this bar right here where it's coming out of from, that immediate bar underneath, that's where we're working, right there. Yarn over, pull through and pull through those 2 loops. Now our next one obviously will be the simple stitch. The bar closest to us, we will insert, yarn over, pull through. The next one is the double, so yarn over. You will always yarn over for that double. Not in the first bar closest to us, but the one underneath, that bar closest to us, underneath that first bar. Insert right in there, yarn over, pull through, and pull through 2 of those loops. And you're going to continue that all the way to the end stitch. Now we are at our end stitch, and you can see that loop right there with that extra bar. The extra bar is going to be on the outermost side, and we're always going to insert in the middle of that stitch. Right there, yarn over and pull through. And this is how it should look so far. Just like so. And our back passes are just like the other rows, and we're going to continue that. So I'm going to do the back pass, and then color change when I have 2 loops left on my hook. So, because we are color changing, we are now going to pick up that secondary color that we did not cut off. We're just going to pick it right up and pull it through those 2 loops right there. Just like so. Now for this one, again, our first loop we will skip. I am showing more of this just because it is pretty, it's an interesting stitch. I'm on this color. So we skip this first loop because this loop counts as our first stitch. Now, because this last one is a simple stitch, we're going to do our long double crochet. So for those of you who are doing a secondary color, immediately this second color, go down into that second color. If you see, because it's variation, you see that lighter tan color and then yellow, that's a little higher up. If you see that your second color is a little higher up, immediately underneath, that's where you're doing your double. Immediately. And for those of you who do not have a secondary color, you can immediately see the difference between, you see this right here, this was that long Tunisian double crochet right here, and you can tell that this is just a simple loop, and that is just a simple, Tunisian simple stitch. This, if you see a simple stitch, this is where you are going to be doing your long Tunisian double crochet. Basically, you're going to go right underneath there into this bar right here, pull your yarn through and pull it through those 2 loops. Now the next one, you can obviously see that it's the long, you could see the loop goes into this kind of intricate kind of pattern. You can see the difference. That's going to be a simple stitch. Insert right there, pull through. And once you get that kind of groove, you know that you're alternating between the double crochet and the simple stitch. So now we are at Alright, so now we are at the end of our stitch, and you can see right here that loop with that extra little bar on the outermost side. That is our end stitch. Just like usual, insert there. This is how it's looking so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work much more rows. I'm going to do that off camera. And I will show you a longer piece and how this stitch starts to turn out. Alright, so this is a few more rows work. You can see it's a beautiful stitch. The drape is not the drapiest. It doesn't curl though, that much I will say. Maybe just the first row curls just a little, but the rest of it is not, like, it's not curling like this. But it is gorgeous. It has a bunch of like knots that it makes and like little strings attaching it, almost like rope, like knotted rope being woven together. It's kind of what this looks like to me. I'm pretty sure with like other colors it would look absolutely gorgeous, but this is just currently how it looks. I have a little shadow cast on here right now. Hang on. Okay, I think that's better. There's still a bit of a shadow going on, but you could still see the colors and stitches pretty good. But yeah, it is gorgeous. Again, it is not dense because it does drape fairly well, but it is denser than like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's not flowy, it's not light, it's not airy. So take that as you will. That's the best way I can describe it. It is gorgeous. This actually would be really good for like a pretty thick like cardigan. You can use it for like sweaters and stuff. That would be gorgeous actually. You can also make like bags and such with it. It does stretch, so if you do make a bag out of it, definitely line it. But it is gorgeous, and I do hope that this tutorial was helpful in your crafting endeavors. All right, happy crafting.